There have been a lot of standout players throughout the entire history of Overwatch. That being said, one man was consistently memed through his entire career, but he was perhaps one of the most important players of all time. So let's talk about this memed god that was forgotten by history. Now, ESCA was the captain and led one of the best teams in Overwatch's history, but he consistently was memed by everyone. ESCA's gameplay was a bit awkward, where there would be certain free kills that he would completely whiff, times where he would accidentally pulse bomb himself, and even though he was the captain and star DPS player for one of the best teams in the world, he was always memed, and every chat would be spamming ESCA LUL as the first person who got the LUL title on the back of their name, where a lot of other players down the line would receive similar treatment, like the Jake LUL meme. Now, as crazy as it is, ESCA's Overwatch career ended up being a footnote into a man that won 5 different championships in 5 different FPS titles.
Brings up, it's time to fight. The accuracy is formidable.
My.
What a player, what a play from the remainders of Gold, and he wants a bit more of the action. That's a whole squad. Are you mad right now? He's got to be careful. He's got to play a little safe, surely. He's going to make it as hard for the opponents as he possibly can. He's taken out everything. He's taken everything away from them.
He's secured Simpson the circle. By doing this, he's now taken off the pressure from behind them. They're still going, Lauren. They want more. They're absolutely smashing WTSG from the floor.
But I'm actually getting too far ahead of myself. So first off, let's talk about ESCA's start. And he got his start in 2 games, Special Forces 1 and Special Forces 2. Now keep in mind, these games look like budget COD, like they look pretty bad, but they're fairly old. And he consistently competed in these games and won championships in both of these games at a high level, playing with the best of the best. And a lot of the skills he learned here would translate eventually to some of the other games he played. Now it was during his time in Special Forces 2 that he built a team with a player named Rouget, which, if you don't know, was known as not only the best Ana player in the world for a long period of time, but many regarded him as just the best all-around player, period, with insane mechanical prowess, really calm and collected under pressure. And I mean, if you just go look it up on YouTube, you can find montage after montage of Rouget just like sleeping every nanoblade on the planet. Like, what this guy was pulling off back in the day was crazy, and ESCA made a team with him before Overwatch even came out in a different game. Now in Korea, there's a mandatory 2-year military service, and Rouget would go to that military service, and in the meanwhile, ESCA didn't really have a direction. He kind of just dabbled in League and some various games. But around the time Rouget came back, Overwatch actually fully launched, and in Korea, it was a massive freaking hit. And the esports blew up in Korea, and there was the Apex League, which was this huge league with big teams and prize pools. Keep in mind, this was pre-Overwatch League, but this was the top of the talent playing against each other, and Rouget reunited with ESCA, formed the Lunatic High. And this was a stacked team with players that you may know, like Who Are You, who's still probably one of the best Genjis in the world and was the best Genji for a long time. Miro, who pioneered Winston, really showing a lot of people what was possible on the character, with an iconic scene on Ilias where he like juggles a Far Mercy off the map and lives. It's insane. And players like Toby, who is the current coach for the Seoul Dynasty in the Overwatch League and was a player for a long time. Now ESCA was the captain of this team, and he handled a lot of the shot calls while at the same time being a DPS player, which was very untraditional. Normally, DPS players don't calm nearly that much because it can actually have an adverse effect on your mechanical skill, but ESCA was very respected, and he was like the rock that held a team together, and ultimately, they won Season 2 and 3 of Apex. Now, that being said, the entire time, ESCA got thread after thread making fun of him. People in the community would constantly make fun of him, spam ESCA LUL, and he got memed on by everyone in the community, even while his team that he was the captain of and most well-respected within the team was winning the entire championship as the best team in the world. This guy was getting memed to hell. Now, whether it was because ESCA was communicating way too much for a DPS player, or whether it was because ESCA was a truly selfless player who would often play characters that the team needed, not necessarily characters he was the best at. He was like put on whatever the team needed at the time, and this would make it so there was many situations that came up that seemed crazy for a player on a team of this caliber to do. Like pulse bomb himself accidentally where he blinks into it, or he just completely whiffs an easy kill in front of them. And there would be so many players that would spam ESCA LUL every time ESCA would do something that was just completely out of pocket. And he got a lot of fans, just people wanting to watch and see what wacky thing would he do next, and probably overly criticize criticized eventually because that's what he became known for, ESCA LUL. The player that would just do something completely out of pocket and random and look like a plat player for at least small moments in time and then go back to being this all-star god DPS. Now, in addition to that, he was on the team that won the first World Cup, the 2016 Overwatch World Cup, where they actually ended up defeating Russia in the finals. That's right, it was Russia versus South Korea. And honestly, it wasn't even close here. South Korea just 3-0'd Russia and made every team that was in the Overwatch World Cup look just like amateurs. South Korea was so far above every other region, it just wasn't even close, which actually continued to be true for a long time, and it was a rude awakening for every Western team and player when the Overwatch League started and all these teams from Korea just smoked everybody. But that's a story for another day. Now, after the World Cup, the Overwatch League got announced, and a lot of players were getting signed, and a lot of teams were getting signed, and almost the entirety of that team, Lunatic High, where ESCA was the known leader and the person that everyone respected and looked up to. I mean, they really loved this guy. And during the initial announcement, he was actually announced as part of the team. He was going to go with them to the Overwatch League and carry on this dynasty as the rock of this team. ESCA LUL aside, there's no doubt that he played one of the most vital roles on the team, keeping their mental together, keeping the team together, and was the leading rock, the selfless player that the team needed. Now, that being said, out of nowhere, he made an announcement that he would be playing for the same or Gen G's PUBG team instead of Overwatch, deciding to leave Overwatch and pursue PUBG, a new battle royale that just came out. Now, this seems like something that was just completely out of left field. I think that the players on the team were also shocked by this decision. He didn't want to pursue Overwatch and pursued a new opportunity. And while this seemed really strange in the moment, he goes on to lead a squad to win tournament after tournament in PUBG, where right away, like right after he decided to join PUBG, his team won a 40,000 prize pool tournament in PUBG, which was more money by like 6x, 7x, 8x than he ever won in all the seasons he played in Overwatch. Not only that, but he was the top fragger for the event, getting more kills than anyone in the entire tournament. I mean, this guy was straight up smurfing a different game. And this is something that keeps happening, and I keep talking about it. Players that are slightly lacking or just okay at mechanics in Overwatch would still be top mechanical players in any other game. Overwatch is by far the hardest mechanical game, and we're consistently seeing players leave Overwatch and just dominate other games. It's because the mechanical ceiling for Overwatch is insane, and even though ESCA definitely wasn't the top of the line mechanically in Overwatch, he was the best in a different game entirely, and that's crazy. Now, the rest of his team would actually go on and participate in the Overwatch League start as the Seoul Dynasty, but that team quickly fell apart and just didn't perform in the Overwatch League nearly as much as people expected. Now, whether that was because of steep competition or the fact that they lost their vital leader and rock for their team, we'll never truly know. But the legacy of ESCA should still carry on even to this day. As a player that was willing to take all the heat on for the sake of his team, a player that would do what needs to be done to help his team, and honestly, just a damn good leader. Now, soon after his accolades in PUBG, he eventually had to go and do his mandatory military service, where he actually ended his military service not too long ago. And I don't know what ESCA is going to do next, but I'm sure that he'll probably end up winning another goddamn championship in a different FPS game. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the story of the memed legend forgotten by history, and I hope you'll never forget him again. Anyways, smash that like, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and let me know what Overwatch story you want to hear about next, and I'll see you next time.